Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone. As always, if you have a question, feel free to type into the chat box or unmute yourself. Just make sure that went through. Great, okay. If you see some chickens crossing behind me, don't worry. I might also be shooing some chickens off, but slowly making their way over to me. They're very curious about what I've been doing this morning, teaching my clients. Alrighty, equipment you're gonna need today is the usual, a letter ball of some sort. If you don't have that, a rolled up pair of socks, something preferably interesting for your eyes to look at. I'm gonna go ahead and spotlight my video. There we go. Okay, hopefully folks can see me now. And then 2 pencils, 2 cooking utensils, your thumbs, just something that's easy for you to hold on to. And then remember with this class, because we're working with the visual and vestibular system, to take it slow, to move at your own pace. Remember, the faster you do some of the movements and the bigger the range of motion is, the harder it will become. So you can always slow things down or do a smaller range of motion. That'll make more sense once we get going. And then remember, if you start to feel nauseous, dizzy, tired eyes, itchy eyes, anything like that, that's okay, but it means that you've met your edge. So back off, take a break. Closing your eyes helps, or getting some water. Okay, so we'll start with the warm up here. See you there, great. Go this a little bit. Okay, so we'll come to a seated or standing grounding position of some sort. And then we're gonna do a similar check-in that we did last time. So I just want you to start to take in your surroundings. Again, this is another way just to help calm the nervous system. So I want you to look around you and find maybe 5 or 6 objective things. Like there is a fig tree to my right. There are bags of soil to my left. There's a red canoe behind me. If you're indoors, notice where the windows are. Notice where the doors are. And you're just starting to map this space around you, this peripheral space around you. What's beneath you? Is the floor beneath you secure, safe? Are there any cracks in the ground? And then what's behind you? Make sure you look behind you if you're able to. Noticing either what you're seated in or what is directly behind you. And I want you to look over both shoulders when you do this one, just a couple of times. And for folks that are blind or visually impaired, I just want you reaching into the spaces behind you instead of looking into those spaces. Yeah. And then lastly, looking directly above you, how close is the ceiling to you? Okay, good. And then we'll come back to ourselves. We'll close the eyes. And I want you to do a similar thing, but kind of within our bodies now. So how much space is your head and your body and your feet taking up in that area directly around you? So if you kind of had to map the inside of your body, what amount of space would it take up, and how does it feel on the inside? And just finding your breath. Noticing how expansive your breath can be. Go ahead and set your intention for class today. It can be as specific or as general as you'd like. We'll take one more inhale, one more exhale, and we'll open the eyes. Great. Okay, so we're just gonna start. Let's bring hands to the top of the head, and we're just gonna, again, kind of map our body out. Okay, just we can try not to miss anything. And by the way, if anyone's having a hard time hearing me because I'm outdoors today, let me know, because I was having some troubles connecting my mic to the computer. So just let me know if you're having a hard time hearing me. And then I just want you to kind of brush from the top of your head down your neck down through your chest and through the sides of your body. So you're just mapping like, okay, this is where the top of my head is, where the back of my neck is, and where the sides of my body are. And I just want you to do a couple times, moving from the top to the bottom, working down the sides of your neck, maybe even working down the front of your neck, the front of your chest. And then just doing the same thing down your back, as much of your back as you can reach. So right now I'm just kind of rubbing the backs of my knuckles along my spine, along my mid and lower back. And I'm gonna go down my arms a couple times. No rules here. Just bringing awareness to these areas, noticing how much space those limbs are taking up. Hi, welcome if you're just joining. And then doing the same thing on the other arm. And I'm moving slow today. If a firmer grip or if more of a patting of the body feels better, you can do that too, but this just feels good for me today. And then just doing the same thing down the legs, going as low as you safely can. I'm just working down from the hips to the feet. Again, no rules for today, just mapping the body, touching the limbs, the backs of the knees, the calves, the thighs, the feet if you're able to. I'm gonna leave my shoes on today because there is a lot of chicken poop around me. But feel free to take your shoes off and feel your feet. Okay, and then coming to your belly and just mapping the belly. And again, no rules. Like I'm gonna move my hands from my belly to my low back, side to side, just noticing how that's all feeling and placing my belly and my stomach on that brain map, where it is on my body, where it is within my body, maybe even the tops of the hips a little bit, and giving that a rub. Yeah. Okay, really nice. I'm gonna bring hands back to the top of the head. We'll do just a quick head scratch here, using either your fingernails or your knuckles. If a head rub feels better, you can do a head rub. Getting that whole area. And maybe even giving your neck a scratch. Again, just a new sensation. Usually we rub the neck, but how does it feel to use your fingernails to scratch your neck? Okay, just something different. Maybe going around the base of your neck a few times. Okay, good, and relax. Shaking the hands, shaking the arms, shaking the upper body. If you'd like to shake your legs, you can do that too. Okay. I'm gonna have you grab your pencil. We're gonna do a little bit of this in warm up, and then we'll layer on with this. Actually, stay zoomed in here. We're just gonna come right into some of those pencil push-ups. And then we're gonna keep moving through some of the stuff. I just wanna bring this a little bit more into warm-ups. Okay, we did the pencil push-ups differently last week, and we're gonna do those later in the session. But for right now, I'm gonna have you stick to the first kinds of pencil push-ups I taught you if you've been with me for a while. So holding that pencil with the tip of the pencil, arms distance in front of you, right between your two eyes. Go ahead and take your glasses off if you're able to. Pulling that pencil in towards you. It's okay if the pencil goes blurry, but I want you to stop where you start to see two pencils. So pulling it in, the goal is to see one pencil that whole time. So if or when you start to see two pencils, pause and then pull the pencil away from your face. Okay. If you have a less dominant eye that you've been working with, you can always block that eye. So you're just doing pencil push-ups with a single eye. For this one, you should just see one pencil the whole time, no matter how close you bring it to your face. Yeah, that's for those of you who know what your less dominant eye is. If this is too easy for you, you can do a pencil push-up as you're moving your head around, looking up, tilting the head down, looking left, looking right. So you're just moving your head around so that the background behind you is moving. It just makes it a little bit harder. Yeah. And then for folks who are blind or visually impaired, I'm going to have you do a head shake left to right and a head shake up and down, maybe 20 in each direction. Yeah, it's for folks that are blind or visually impaired. Otherwise, keep going with the pencil push-ups. Let's just maybe do 5 or so more. Remember, the quicker you move that pencil to, the harder it becomes, because the eyes have to work a little bit harder to track that pencil. Okay, yeah. After that 5 and 6, go ahead and put that pencil down. We'll relax. We'll come back to the joints a little bit here. So you're just gonna bring one hand, doesn't matter which one, over one of your shoulders. And I just want you to give that shoulder a rub. The top of the shoulder, the back of the shoulder. And I want you to try to feel, yeah, and if it's hard to reach over your shoulder, then you can just stay with the front of your collarbones, right in the front there. Yeah, really this is kind of where the shoulder complex starts in a way, actually, is the most inner part of your collarbones, if that's easier to touch, yeah. Otherwise, I want your hand up and over the shoulder, just feeling for the bony ridges. And I want you to trace whatever bony ridge that you feel. Okay, so you might notice you've got your collarbone in front, and then you might notice you've got a ridge being the top of your shoulder blade in the back. Again, just mapping your body. Where are your bones? Where are your muscles? Where do things start to connect? And they're gonna do the same thing on the other side. You can start with that collarbone if that's easier for you to reach. Tracing that collarbone. Feeling the tissue on the bottom part of the collarbone, the top part. Is it tender in there? And then coming up and over. Feeling for any bony prominences, any ridges, any really tight or tender areas. Definitely have a couple of those this morning. Yep, and then relax. Shake that off with your hands. Okay, good. We'll grab the elbows. So grabbing one of your elbows, you can use an open hand or a soft fist, and just finding a few twists around that. Maybe even twisting below the elbow and above the elbow. This can feel really good for folks that are on the computer often or doing maybe a lot of yard work if you're doing some stuff out in the yard with your hands. And then we'll do the other elbow. Right over that elbow, that bony part, above and below. And then we'll work our way down to the wrists, doing the same thing, finding that circular motion, noticing any bony parts, sensitive parts, painful parts. And then we'll switch sides. Yeah, and then let's just work our way out through each hand if that's there for you. If you're able to grip each finger and give it a twist and a pinch to the fingertip, I'm gonna have you do that. If grip strength is hard for you there, you're just gonna you're gonna try to give each finger a rub, okay? But working your way through, we have a lot of joints in our hands and our feet. For those of you that maybe have either decreased sensation, decreased grip strength, arthritis, anything like that, doing this kind of work can be really helpful sensory input wise, and also just getting this area, getting nutrients flowing, getting a little bit more blood flowing. If we don't do a lot with our hands, they can get really stiff. Working your way out through all 10 fingers. Giving a pinch to the fingertips. And then when you've done that, we'll shake the hands out. We'll come to the knees and just giving the knees a little bit of a rub And again, just mapping like, okay, here's my kneecap. Here's the top of my kneecap, the bottom of it. Is one kneecap maybe feel different than the other or more sensitive? Is one knee more swollen or both knees swollen? And then can we get behind the knee? And then working our way down, if you're able to reach the ankles, I'll have you do the same thing with the ankles. You can stay on the knees if that's easier to reach for you. Rubbing that inside ankle bone and that outside ankle bone. And again, just noticing swelling, tenderness, lack of sensitivity, sensation. Any warm or hot spots, sometimes temperature, especially as we get lower in the body, can start to change or differ between the two sides. Okay, and then we'll release that. Let's just come back to some kind of an upright position. We can close the eyes for a second here and just notice if anything feels different. Yeah, and then we'll open the eyes. Great. Okay, I'm gonna have you grab your pencils again. And we're gonna go into some of the eye saccades. So this is the one where your eyes are jumping back and forth. So holding the pencils at about arm distance out, one to the left, one to the right. Yeah, you can also use objects in the room if that's easier. You're gonna do maybe 40 or so eye saccades, meaning eye jumps left, right, 40 or so jumps up and down, 40 or so jumps at a diagonal, and then 40 at the other diagonal. Okay. For folks that are blind or visually impaired, I'm gonna have you doing the same set of directions, but you're gonna be doing the head movements instead of the eye movements, working more of your vestibular system. So side, side, up, down, one diagonal, and then the other diagonal, like your head is almost doing a disco. For folks that are blind or visually impaired, if you're doing those head movements and you want to make it more challenging, for standing athletes, you can either balance on one leg or you can find a tightrope walking stance with one foot in front of the other. That will challenge the balance as you're moving your head. For seated athletes that are blind or visually impaired, you can move yourself to either like a less stable seated surface. I know, or actually I don't think she's on the call today. I know some people out there have those big exercise balls that you can sit on. That's an option too if you're trying to make this work a little bit more challenging, especially for the vestibular system. Okay, yeah, but that looks good. So darting your eyes back and forth. If you're doing that version, be mindful to not move your head. It's just the eyes quickly moving back and forth from tip of the pencil to other tip of the pencil, making sure that you're focusing on each one before jumping to the next one. And then as you're doing these, I want you to notice which direction is hardest for your eyes to look at. Maybe you slow down in one of the diagonals more so than you do the other diagonal. Maybe it's really hard for your eyes to look up. That's really common. A lot of folks have a hard time looking up because we never really challenge our eyes to look up. Yeah, if you get dizzy or nauseous, you can close the eyes, take a break. Once you've gone through all 40 or so in each direction, I see people moving through that. Then go ahead and set the pencils down just so I know you're done. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, when you're done, yeah, I see, actually it looks like everyone's done. Well, almost. Yeah, Barbara, keep going. Go ahead and go right into letter ball. If you're done, and if you've been playing with me for a while, we'll just start with normal letter ball. Otherwise, I'm just gonna explain it to you again here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so holding that ball in front of you, you're gonna move it away from you at any angle around you. Look at the ball, say the first letter or number you see, and then bring it back into your chest. Pull it away at a different angle, quickly look at the ball, say the first letter or number you see, and then pull it back into your chest, okay? So you're just moving that ball all around your body, above you, below you. Try not to miss any angles, maybe even behind you, down by your feet. And saying the first letter or number you see and then pulling it back in. If you're able to play catch with yourself, you're doing the same thing, just playing catch around you. If you've got a bouncy ball, you could bounce it off of the floor or off of the wall. Yeah, nice, everybody. Yeah, so last week I layered on with, again, if you've been doing this for a while and you want a little bit more of a challenge, to close your eyes. So when you bring the ball into your chest, closing your eyes, moving it away from your body, and then opening your eyes and quickly saying the first letter or number you see. So when we're adding closed eyes into this, it just adds another challenge of our eyes having to open, refocus, and then find the first letter or number you see, as opposed to having our eyes open the whole time. Okay, so you can start with that. If you're playing catch with yourself, you can even do kind of a similar thing where your eyes close for just a split second as you're throwing it, and then they open right as you catch it, find the ball, say the first letter or number you see. Okay, so just playing with open eyes, closed eyes. It's almost like you're trying to add an element of surprise here. That's really where the challenge comes in. Yeah. Maybe do 5 or 6 more throws. When you've done that last one, we'll go ahead and set the ball down. We're gonna come back to pencil push-ups. Last round of pencil push-ups, I promise. And we're gonna do what we were doing last week, so just layering on with this one. Okay, so as a reminder, we're doing this similar idea of pulling the pencil into the chest in between the eyes, but this time when we bring it into the eyes, we're gonna hold for 5 seconds, close the eyes, reset the pencil out away from us. Pull it in now with the tip of the pencil going to the nose, hold for 5 seconds, close the eyes, pull it away. So you're just alternating, pulling it in between the eyes, holding for 5, reset, pulling it into the nose, holding for 5, closing the eyes, and then resetting. The reason we're doing this one is because we've actually got 2 different cranial nerves that focus in between the 2 eyes and focus down towards the nose. So we're just kind of trying to max out the stimulation of those cranial nerves by doing both of those angles, bringing the pencil into the nose and to the eye height. Maybe do 10 or so each one, 10 into the nose, 10 into the eyes. Notice what's harder for you. Yeah, if you're able to do this one without your glasses and you can still clearly see it, then try to do that also. If you want to do the less dominant eye, you can also, again, you can close one eye off and do your weaker eye or your less dominant eye. And then for folks that are blind or visually impaired, I'm going to bring you, let me come back to my chair here. We're going to do a few more neck movements. So arms are going to be out into a T, and you're going to point your nose at one pencil and then turn and point your nose at the other pencil. Try to keep shoulders down and back, and really just focusing on pointing the nose towards the pencil, okay? It's just more of a proprioceptive target as opposed to anything else, but really working on that cervical rotation. Which direction is harder for you to turn your head and your neck towards? Yeah. Once you're done with those 20 or so pencil push-ups, we keep losing Sarah Dawn. I think her internet keeps crapping out on her. Once you're done with those pencil push-ups or the head turns, we'll put the pencil down. Yeah, and we're gonna come to a little bit more spinal mobility here. Okay, nice work, everybody. We'll take a break. We'll come back to the body a little bit. Okay, so let's put hands on the ribs. And I want you to start with that hula hoop, moving the ribs around the pelvis. And if you're standing, you're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then switching direction. So I want you to think about, as you do this one, whether or not you have sensation in your hips and in your sit bones. I want you to think about trying to keep your weight more or less evenly distributed over your legs and over your sit bones. So it's really just the upper body that's hula hooping. My lower body is staying relatively stable. Yeah, go one more time in the other direction. There we go, and then switch again. This one can also be helpful to do in front of a mirror or even do where you're looking at yourself on screen. Yeah, and then coming back to the center, good. We're gonna close the arms, give ourselves a really big hug. Find a half roll down, tucking your head in, pushing your back into the chair behind you or into the space behind you. And then you're gonna open and get big up towards the sky. Open your fingers if you're able to look up. Take an inhale and then exhale, give yourself a big hug. And this time, find a little twist off to your left. So you're giving yourself a big hug, but you're kind of twisted off to your left. That's it, that's it. Let your head hang heavy. Get big, reach up to the sky, open the hands. And then give yourself a hug and rotate off to the right. Get big, look up, inhale. And then exhale, hug yourself off to the left. Get big, inhale. Exhale, hug yourself to the right. Yeah, and let's just keep moving through that. Get big, inhale, hug yourself left. Get big, inhale, and hug yourself right. One more each side. Get big and hug yourself. Get big and hug yourself. Yeah, awesome. We'll come back to the center. Let's bring hands out in front of us. Palms are touching, elbows are straight. And we're gonna do a few book openers here. So I want you to take the left hand, drag it along the right arm, across the chest, and then opening and rotating to your left. Did I say that right? Hopefully I did. Just come into a rotation there. I'm gonna have gotten my lefts and rights mixed up. And then drag that hand back across the chest, back down the arm to the hand, and all the way back to the center. Yeah, and we'll switch sides. Dragging across the arm, the chest, open and rotate. And this time, hold that rotation. I want your eyes to go as far to the side as possible. Challenge your eyes here. Find something to pinpoint your eyes on. And then slide across your chest to the arm and center. Yeah, we're just gonna take these nice and slow. Sliding hand, arm, chest, open, rotate. Can you go a little bit further this time? Can your eyes pinpoint on something a little bit further? And then sliding chest, arm to hand. Slide arm, hand, arm, chest, open, rotate. Can you go a little bit further? Find something to look at. And then sliding back. Yeah, let's do 2 more. Slide, open to rotate. And then slide to the center. Yeah, that looks great, everybody. Last one, slide, open, rotate. And then slide to the center. Good. And then from there, go ahead and just find a slow, heavy roll down to the floor. As low as you can. Just hang here for a sec. Take a few breaths into your back, into your sit bones. And then rolling yourself back up. Nice work, everybody. Okay, one more thing with the spine, and then we'll layer on here. So hands are gonna come to the tops of the thighs. Okay, we have a couple of options. For those of you that have movement in your hips, this is gonna be more of a hip movement. So I'm just gonna give you my side profile. So you're gonna pulling your hands into your knees. So I want you to use that as an assist. You're gonna tuck the tail under and then lift the tail. Tuck and then lift. Exhale to tuck, inhale to lift. For those of you that don't have movement in the hips but have movement in the ribs, you're gonna be doing that same thing, pulling into the tops of your thighs, but more from your ribs. So pushing the middle of your back, rounding, and then pulling that rib cage and your heart space forward. Pushing back, pulling forward. Same breath with both directions. Exhale back, inhale forward. Exhale back, inhale forward. You can use your hands on your knees as much as you'd like here. I'm just gonna watch people for this one. Yeah, and really focusing on your breath as you do that. The breath for this one is supposed to facilitate that movement. So we have your exhale helping with flexion of the spine and of the tail. And we have inhale helping with extension of the spine and lifting of the tail. Yeah. Maybe just do one more in each direction. And then we'll come back to the center. Let's bring that right into a few shoulder circle rolls. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Okay, so this time I want you to shrug the shoulders up. Shrug them up as high as they possibly can. And then just let them fall down. Yeah, don't control that fall down. Slowly lift up like they're an elevator going up. And then let them fall down. Good. Slowly shrug up. Quickly fall down. Yeah, and just stay with that. Slow up, quick down. And as you're doing this, I just want you to notice, a few things. How do your ribs feel when you do this? Do you feel like you can expand your ribs as the shoulders shrug up? Okay, what do I mean by that? So if you inhale as the shoulders shrug up, and I want you to pretend like your rib cage is growing three-dimensional. So you're trying to take up, we did that body check-in the beginning of class. I want your rib cage to take up as much space in front of you, back behind you, and out to the side. So as the shoulders shrug up, can you inhale and think of that rib cage expanding in all directions? And then let the shoulders fall. Okay, I'm gonna layer on one more time with breath here. As you let the shoulders fall, I'm gonna come in so you can really hear me on this. You're gonna do a quick forced exhale. Okay, so what that sounds like is Okay, so yeah, let the jaw go open, and it's forced and it's quick. I don't want you to go all the way to the end of breath. So it's not, it's quick. It's expand, expand, expand. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge breath in, because I don't want you to hyperventilate here. Okay, but just a, and you're really trying to get to the very end of that or sorry, not the very end. You're trying to make that exhale forced and quick. And I'm just gonna watch people here. I know I can't hear you. So this is working some of our deepest layer of core muscles that's basically hugging our organs. Those muscles kind of sit like a corset in our body, the way those fibers are. And doing a quick and forced exhale is a good way to work those deep muscles. Yeah, maybe just do a couple more. If you start to get dizzy or at all, take a break. It means you're hyperventilating. You're taking in too much oxygen. Okay, good, and relax. Okay, nice. And then maybe just close the eyes for a second. Just notice how the body's feeling. Maybe come back to that low belly breath. So try to slow that breath down. Yeah, and again, does anything feel different there for you? We're gonna be playing with that breath a little more over this next month or so, but I just wanted to introduce it today. Okay, let's do a little bit of patterned work here. So I'm gonna have you start crossing the arms over each other, tapping your thighs, and then not crossing the arms and tapping your shoulders. Yeah, cross the arms, tap the thighs, tap the shoulders. Switch the cross of your arms, tap the thighs, and then tap the shoulders. So I want you to switch back and forth. So with each cross, one arm goes over the other, and then you switch on the next one. Yeah, nice, everybody, that looks good. Cross and tap, shoulders, cross and tap, shoulders, cross, shoulders, yeah. And once you get the hang of that, see if you can pick up the pace. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple different options here. For my standing athletes or my athletes that have movement in your legs, every time you cross your shoulders, you're gonna lift one leg just off of the floor. So I'm just lifting my left foot off the floor, and then I cross and tap my thighs. When I tap my shoulders, I lift the other leg, I switch the cross and tap. Tap shoulders, lift one leg, cross and tap, lift the other leg, switch the cross and tap. Okay, so kind of coming a little bit more into a gait-like movement. For my seated athletes, you're gonna do a head movement instead. So let's see, sorry, make sure I've got it before I tell you. Cross and tap the thighs. As you tap the shoulders, you're gonna turn your head and point your nose to the left. Cross and tap, turn and point your nose to the right. Okay, so it's coming more from a head and neck movement. If that movement isn't there for you, you can do more of a torso movement also, yeah. Okay, so you're either moving your head and neck or you're lifting a leg and finding a balance there. Okay, and if you get the rhythm of that, start to pick up the pace. Keep forgetting to cross my arms. Remember to be switching the direction that your hands are crossed as you're doing this one. Yes, I see a lot of thinking going on. Am I tapping the right part of my body, and am I moving my head? Yeah, keep going with this one. Maybe try to do 20 or so more until you feel like you're getting the rhythm. Yeah, this is not an easy one. This is not an easy one. especially because you're having to switch the direction your arms are crossed, and you're moving a whole different part of your body, being your neck or your legs. These cross-body movements are really good for the brain. They help connect the two sides of the brain. They help challenge our coordination. We're bringing in a little bit of proprioception because we're touching the different limbs, connecting upper half to lower half. Yeah, nice work, everybody. Okay, and go ahead and relax. Yeah. Okay, let's just, this won't be a complicated pattern. We'll just kind of bring it back. So I'm just gonna have you take both arms, swooping your arms in a horizontal figure 8 or an infinity sign. My arms right now are mirroring each other. If you're only able to do this on one side, that's totally okay. Just stay on that one side. Yeah. And then can you switch directions? You can keep the arms low. You can keep the figure 8 sign small if it's hard to lift over your shoulders. Or you can make that a really big arm movement, start to bring body sway into it. These movements always reminds me of swimmers when they're warming up for the Olympics and their arms and shoulders are moving everywhere. It's very impressive. I don't have that kind of shoulder flexibility, but that's what I imagine that I will one day look like. Okay, good, and go and relax. Okay, awesome. Let's bring arms up to the sky and release the fingers if you can. Lift everything up here. Again, just hold this for a second. See if you can find that expansiveness in your rib cage. Can you pretend like your rib cage is taking up as much space in the room as possible? Take an inhale and then exhale. Go and start to find a nice, slow, articulating roll down. As low as you can. Pause at the bottom. Walk your hands and your fingertips over to the left. Take an inhale into the right ribs. Walk your fingertips over to the right. Take an inhale into the left ribs. Come back to the center. Find a slow articulating roll back up. Good, and then open the hands behind you, pull your chest forward, look up. And then back to the center. Let's find a head tilt to the left. And then go ahead and just bring your eyes down and to the left. See if you can find something to look at. And then bring everything back to the center. Head tilt to the right. Eyes down and to the right. Find something to look at. And back to the center. Good. We'll go ahead and close the eyes. And then this time, with eyes closed, again, I just want you to imagine the space around you. So how far away is the ceiling from you? Could you visualize where the windows are, where the doors are? Can you visualize what's directly behind you? Do you know what color the things are behind you? How detailed can you get with your memory right now in that visualization? And then how much space and room do you have to the left and to the right of you? What's the closest thing to you right now? And then coming back to your body, noticing how much space your body is taking up. go ahead and think of one thing you're grateful for today. Let's take one more inhale, one more exhale, and we'll open the eyes. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining today, everybody. Happy Thursday.